My name's Linda Rock, and I live at 3309 Indiana Avenue. And I have two questions. One, in my research of Cryptosporidium, I haven't been able to find out if there's a life cycle, or once you get it, it stays in your body, or does it attach to the intestines and then lives its life cycle and is gone? That's the first question.
And some of that depends on somebody's immune system and their ability to fight it off, so I can't speak specifically to that. Sorry, I can't speak specifically to that because it depends on each person's immune system and how healthy they are at fighting it off. So I don't have a specific answer on that for you, I'm sorry.
Next question, on the samples, Elk Creek was at the 900 plus. Would that be suspect? Is that an abnormal test?
Well, it was high for the city's tests. Prior to any other tests that we had had, were 0, 1, or 2 oocysts.
I guess maybe clarify my question is, I'm sure around the country tests have been done on water. Is that an abnormally high level in a test?
The short answer is yes, that's a very high level. Yeah. I think the levels that the rule looks at, that I have here, for an unfiltered system like Baker City, the cutoff level is 0.01 oocysts per liter. And that's if it's greater than that number, it requires a higher level of treatment. And we're talking, well, it was 900 some in 10 liters, so we're talking 90 versus 0.01. So yeah, it was a very high number.
Name and address, please.
Ed Short, 1610 Valley Avenue. My question is, it seems like this parasite is not a lot known about it. What do we know about the life cycle of it? Is it short-lived or a long-living parasite? And what's the reproductive cycle in and out of the water?
Good question.
Well, this is really not my area of expertise, but I'll try and give a brief answer. So once the parasite is inside of a host, it gets excreted in the form of an oocyst, which has a protective shell around it. And that protective shell makes it really resistant and hardy. That's why chlorine is ineffective against killing it. And those cysts need to be ingested and get back inside of another host to start reproducing again. And then it reproduces and the cycle just goes like in the cycle. That's a really basic description of it. Like I said, I'm not a biologist, I'm an engineer, but that's a really basic explanation.
That question was asked at one of the morning meetings with the State Health Department because we were concerned about the water that was being pumped into the city well. The city actually pumps water into the well and uses it for a reservoir for later use. And if any of the Cryptosporidium had been pumped into the well, it would have a shelf life down there of approximately 24 days. Or it was 2 months, I think. It was 2 months. So if there is anything down there within 2 months, it will be dead. It in no way polluted the aquifers or anything like that.
I just wanted to remind you, we didn't find any cysts in the well water. And even if they were dead, we would have found it. So there was 0 in the well water testing.
Vernon Hull, 36658 Drive. My question, first one is Ms. Fields.
According to the newspaper, you had confirmed cases on Monday the 29th. Is that correct?
I have one case.
Okay, the newspaper said you had several others shortly thereafter.
Yes.
The same day?
No.
Okay. Then would, in the one confirmed case, you said you didn't contact Mr. Warner until the next day, Tuesday. Would that be normal?
Yes. Usually one case. Last year we had one Cryptosporidium case. People can pick it up from swimming in reservoirs, swimming in the Powder River. There's other sources that people can be exposed to.
Okay, so he was notified the next day when the other cases came in.
Yes.
And why was it almost midnight before the city?
And I can't speak specifically to that piece because I wasn't the one who notified the city.
And one other question. I know for a fact that at 9:30 on Wednesday morning, the 31st, one of the local restaurant owners was informed, like somebody just sitting there talking about this problem. They immediately called the health department and asked about what they should do. And the health department said, we don't know anything about it. That's common, of course.
I think that's probably true. We were meeting that morning, and there was information, there was information getting out through different sources. It travels pretty good in Baker City, and I can tell you, Alicia was in a meeting. We were scrambling to find out what it was, what it meant, and how to best notify the public. I know people knew about it before we, were able to officially notify them.
A lot of people do about
Yeah.
it. Okay, and then the next one, more of a comment. I don't understand why all of the water sources weren't tested on that Wednesday, or the day you collected the sample.
Again, how we have done it in the past, we tested based on, again, our knowledge of the system and things we had done differently. The suspect location would have been Goodrich, and so we went immediately to Goodrich and tested that. All the other sources combined on the other side, and so we tested that as one sample, which is how we had done it all the other times in the past. So, again, it is process of elimination, trying to work through that. Do I look back and think, could I have done some things differently? Sure. But again, looking for the fastest results, we had a lab that was able to meet a certain number of tests. They didn't have unlimited quantities. So we did the test that we had done in the past. And again, we also tested Goodrich because it was highly suspect. And then we did locations in town like we typically do.
Okay, I have a comment. I'll talk.
Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Mel Conaway, 2491 15th. I have a question. I don't know that you can give me the information on now, but I'm sure the public is interested. There's a lot of gardening in Baker City, and I don't know the usability of the crops from the garden or fruit trees. I don't think it would have that published in the newspaper. Maybe.
Yeah, we can publish it. I did specifically ask the epidemiologist from the state, and he said there's no danger in using it for gardens. There's really no danger in bathing in it. You just don't want to stand under the shower head and drink a bunch of it. And he did say rinse your vegetables in potable water.
Wayne Wall, 1105 Place Street. I think what I'm wanting to say here is that as a community, I think we're looking for somebody to say, yeah, it's our fault. I think we're looking for some kind of culpability. We're looking at 2009, 2010. I read my newspaper at home. We kept about crypto in 2011. And one of the council members said, I cannot in good conscience ask the people to support this. What you're hearing here tonight is that if we want to make ourselves safe, we have to go out after having our water rates raised and all the things go on, we have to go pay for our own filtration systems to be safe. What seems to me that here we are in 2013. Nobody drinks water out of streams. We used to do that back in the old times, but we don't do that anymore. My question is, why doesn't a city like Baker City have a filtration system in place so that we don't have to deal with this? And it seems to me that 3, 4, 5 years is plenty of time for a city council to deal with this and take appropriate measures. And it seems to me that there is something here that needs to be said about, yeah, we should have done it.
All I can say to that is that the filtration system, I believe the cost is $6 million to put it in.
16.
How much?
16.
$16 million to put it in, and the operating cost is $300,000 a year. About $300,000 a year, and it's never been. It's just something that was not required, and nobody ever thought we would be.
You just answered one of my questions, but Destiny Felton, 2509 Bush Street. Like I said, you just answered one of my questions, but another question is, or I guess a statement would be, I didn't know what Cryptosporidium was until this all came about. And of course, immediately I go and do an internet search and find out, things that I should be worried about and things like that. And of course, when I did the search, I found things that I was totally unaware of, and by the way, I was sick for a couple weeks, also with 2 other people in my family, and out of 8 of us, or 7 of us. And my whole brother's family was very ill, including his 1-year-old daughter, who had to be catheterized in the hospital before we found out that this was what was causing it. And we were very ill. And so, of course, when I found out, I looked it up, and I was very concerned about it. Now, I remember reading something from the city council a long time ago. Of course, I trusted that the city council would be taking care of that, and I wouldn't have to worry about any of that stuff, because, I'm sorry, but I found out about Cryptosporidium, and I immediately went to the internet to see what I needed to be concerned about. Now, if the city knew about it, my question is, as concerned as I was when I did the internet search, why was the city not taking the proper precautions at that time to prevent this type of thing? This is not the first time. The first time, one of the other times that I found when I did an internet search was Las Vegas, Nevada. They had an outbreak, which several people did die, and of course they were immunocompromised people, but people did die, several people were sick. And what I was reading, I think it was one of your experts, I was reading in the paper somewhere, saying that this outbreak could actually be worse than that case, which was in 1996. And so my concern is, I understand you guys are doing all that you can do right now and that you're in a very bad position. But if we knew about this, why weren't you guys searching, finding out what could happen and trying to prevent it? And also, I would suggest that maybe you guys do a survey on how many people were sick, because I can say I know at least hundreds of people that were ill. And it made me very upset and irritated when I would read that 13 people, even though I know that they had to confirm it at the hospital. I didn't go to the hospital because I can't afford the copay for the hospital. And thankfully, I'm starting to kind of feel better after several weeks of being ill. And it's really hard to see your kids sick and ill like that. And then, of course, they tell you, drink more water, drink more water. So we're drinking more water and we're getting worse sick. So I guess just a statement that maybe we should be a little bit more proactive about this in the first place. And when something like this comes up, research it, find out what could happen, and be a little bit proactive.
Thank you. Yes, the 13 confirmed cases is a very, very minute amount of people that were affected. There were probably, hundreds, if not thousands.
There's 15.
Oh, we're up to 15 confirmed cases. And one of the health department people, they were going to go to the pharmacies and ask, how much kale pectate, how much melanium, how much of this have you got going off the shelves to try to gauge just how big a problem this was in town? So, and I don't know if there were any results from that, but we're trying to do a better job tracking it.
Len Ream, 560 Broadway. This is a follow-up to that. Alicia, have you been having, what kind of phone calls have you been having people calling your department in relations to experiencing these symptoms? And I understand that if you go and see your physician, as I did, they are reporting those cases to you. This is not confirmed, lab confirmed, but it's also people who are either calling their doctors to maybe get some medication, or even people out here in the audience. Is there anything that has been set up through the public health department that people can identify? Because when I sit here and I listen to, and kind of coming back to 15 lab confirmed cases, that bothers me because of the fact that I think we all know there's a lot more out there. And I think that it is due diligence on the part of the public health department and the city to get a handle on just exactly what is occurring. The young lady that was just up here can't afford to go and see her doctor. How many of those people are out there? And I think that maybe there should be some kind of something going on that the public health department can take the lead on and provide information to the counselors and to other people. Because I think this has been something very, very significant. And I would hate to see somewhere in the future that we only had 15 confirmed incidents. Can you respond to any numbers?
Yeah, so laboratory confirming, I know there's 15, and I want to say that I'm very sorry for the people in Baker City who have been ill, and I understand. We've had many calls, not just our office, but local doctors, the emergency rooms. We've given out pretty much a law to all of the medical facilities that any patient who calls in with diarrheal illness, that they write their name and information on a log, and they fax that to the health department. So we are keeping track of those numbers. I can't give you an exact amount of those numbers at this time. Also, the state of Oregon, the Acute and Communicable Disease Program, where the epidemiologists are housed, they are doing random phone surveys. Some of you might have gotten calls, and they're continuing those calls. So they're calling people in Baker City, asking how many people are ill in the household. So that way we will have some type of number to give to people.
Not everybody has house phones.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're trying to do.
Yeah, I know of at least 10 people of my friends who did not have house phones because nobody uses them anymore.
If your phone number happens to be a part of the record that the city has with your water account, if you happen to sign up with your cell phone number, the epidemiologist, we're working with them to provide them that information so that they can reach out to those people that don't have a home phone. But if you used a cell phone, we're trying to collect that. Initially, their survey was based on just opening the phone book and, again, using information that's collected from the different health areas. But we're trying to provide them a database that might be more reflective of actual water customers and cell phones if we have them.
Well, wouldn't it be easier just to go to the 2 cell phone companies here in Baker City and ask them for all the phone numbers that are cell phone numbers for Baker City?
I don't think we get that information from
Okay.
surveys.
You have.
Ask NASA.
Yeah.
Yeah, NSA will do it for you.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to the second question I have. And basically, I'm trying to understand the testing that the city does, and I apologize for, I do recall seeing the June water quality report. At that time, all indications were go that we've got good water. So probably like most of the people in this room, I did not pay significant attention to it, and it ended up in my recycle pile. Well, my question is, and I was hoping to hear from you all tonight, and I think what at least in hearing, I'm trying to understand that, okay, we're testing the water weekly, and basically that's probably for E. coli. And it appears to me that you were testing it at Goodrich in that intake type area and also at another intake area where all the water comes together? Or, I guess the question I have is how many samples do you take weekly and then how many intakes?
Do you want to actually give me the numbers so I say it accurately?
We sample for E. coli, state mandated 3 times a week, typically 4 times a week. It's taken at the reservoir at a raw tap where it comes in. It's mixed. All the diversions are mixed other than the Goodrich line, and we sample there. And
So technically 2 samples, one at Goodrich and one where the other.
we do not sample. The Goodrich line where the raw sample is not mixed with the raw sample. So
Do you want to speak to the number that we take in town as well?
and then we do 10 routine samples throughout the distribution system that are just random locations. We take the same locations every month.
Okay, and so based on what I'm hearing in terms of looking at when the UV filtration system could come online, I guess I was hoping to hear tonight what the city plans to do if at such time we do get an all clear to take off the water boiling. Well, probably the things that created this instance in the municipal watershed still exist there as the likelihood to have a reoccurrence. But what I guess I didn't hear from you all is how to assure me as a user of that water that you're going to be doing monitoring in the interim between now and the UV system going in for crypto.
Right, and I think that's what this costs.
Yeah, we are in the process right now of developing. Okay, we're in the process now of developing a sampling schedule where the city will start collecting regular samples for Cryptosporidium. And we're still debating the exact frequency and the number of those, but once the boil order is lifted, the city will be taking regular samples for Cryptosporidium. You know, the routine samples that are collected from the distribution are just checking for bacteria. Cryptosporidium is a parasite. It's a completely different test, a completely different kind of critter. So, and the rules do not require that Cryptosporidium sampling other than what was done in 2010 and 2011. Okay, but because of this outbreak, we are going to require it until either the UV system is operational.
Well, it's certainly the kind of leadership I would like to see from the city council in terms of giving us those assurances that our water is safe to drink as opposed to every 30 days where that contamination can enter the system the day after it's tested. So I appreciate that. And as one citizen here, whether we agree with what you said or not, I thank you really for putting this forum together in the manner that it's done and allowing us the opportunity to try to get some understanding and ask you some questions and also express our opinions. Thank you.